Let's readjust my camera. And yesterday I finished up my wallets. I did the last few off stream because I figured you'd be getting tired of them by now. But don't be tired of wallets in general because we're going to be making a different kind, but not quite so simple. These are. I have my template here. One of them are going to be made for my friend, and then I'm going to have a few more to sell. I'll sell these at, say, like a flea market or something of that nature. So let's get my leather laid out, and we'll get started. I'm just cleaning up my work area right here before I make it a mess again. I'm just getting a bucket ready to throw my scraps in. I went ahead and started the stream before I was all set up because I figured it'd take a few minutes for some people to roll in anyways, so might as well get started, and that way I'll have a little bit of pressure to get ready faster. So I'm still just getting my leather ready. And I will be cutting a few out of this kind, and I also bought another scrap, well, not a scrap piece of leather, another piece of leather from Kentucky Leather and Hide while I dropped the wallets off. I actually bought that kind of leather because I'm not making something for them. This is for me. But they did say I could use the scrap leather for the wallets that I made. I'm just going to cut this down into a little bit more manageable piece. Because I would like to have a larger table, but I would like to have a larger cutting mat, but those are expensive. Especially like the large cutting mats, those really get up in price pretty fast. So I just have this small one right now. I'll be cutting on the white side today. I'll leave that intact. I'm just cutting off these little bits and pieces I can't really use anymore, and then throwing them in my bucket. It's a little bit out of view, but you should probably still be able to see that. I am eventually going to not be doing wallets. I promise I will have a little bit of variety coming up. Just wallets are the best sellers usually. So leatherworkers tend to make a whole lot of them. But next is a purse that I am very excited for. Okay. Basically what you do with these is it says on it how many you need to cut out, then you just lay it down and then cut out that amount. So they're pretty simple to follow. They're not as fast as using a clicker press, which is the big stamping machine thing, but they are definitely faster than using like a paper template, because it's really easy to get offline with those. Let's just grab my X-Acto blade. And I'm trying to think of how many I want. I think 5 may be a good... Well, actually, let's do 6. One for my friend, then I'll have 5 to sell. So I'm going to do 6 wallets today. Well, maybe not today. We'll see how many I get done. But I'm going to start cutting out 6 is what I mean. I don't think I'll be able to cut them all out of one, of just what scrap I have left. And like I said, I do have more leather types. Sometimes I will just scratch the outline of it and come back later with my knife. But I think I'll at least try to cut them out instead of scratching then cutting. So now I'm just going to cut them out. And then this curved part is a little bit difficult, but as long as I keep my pattern in place, it's usually okay. I just have to put a lot of pressure downwards and then maybe take a few passes. Okay, let's just clean off the edges. I looked at the weather forecast for this week, and I won't be able to ride my bike into work tomorrow, but I should be able to from then on. So I may finally be free from gas prices again. I really enjoyed not having to pay for gas during the summertime. I could just ride my bike everywhere. Well, unless I needed to get like lumber or something, I would kind of have to take my car then. I don't know, maybe I could strap some lumber to it. It can definitely carry the weight, but unless I needed just one board, it's going to be a little difficult. I'm a little bit high in the frame there. Let's move it up so I'm around the center. I think that'd be a little bit better. Something like that. And then I'll position my body so that the light doesn't have a bunch of glare on this acrylic. So it's not shining at you the whole time. Sometimes these corners are a bit hard to cut out. I'll just take the pattern off and do it manually. I'm gonna cut this off. There we go. Now I have an even smaller leather piece to move around easily. So I was very tired when I got off of work today, and I got some coffee. And I usually don't drink coffee because it makes me very anxious. So we'll see if I have a panic attack on stream. That may be for good content. But I should be okay. There's a local coffee shop where I'm at called Vibe Coffee, and they have really good lattes. Actually, I have a little bit left. I should probably drink it before it gets cold. I'm gonna grab it. I just started the stream and I'm already running off, but I'll be right back. Just gotta grab it out of my car. There we go. I always feel bad when I get coffee to go because they'll still do the latte art. And I'm like, I'm just putting a lid on this lady. It does look nice, but she didn't have to do that. Maybe it's just muscle memory. When they're adding the cream, might as well just go ahead and do that to make it look fancy. But I do appreciate the extra effort that they go through in order to do it. Okay, so I have to cut out 2 of these per wallet, and I want to do 6 total, so we'll cut out 6. I mean, not 6, we'll cut out 12. I really don't want to run out of leather and have to switch. I do have that over there. Yeah, we'll go ahead and cut out the 12. Okay, yeah, we'll cut it out. I'm being very indecisive, but we're gonna go for it. So a few days ago, I went back to my old work. This was a little while ago now, but I went back to my old job at Sonic to get some food. I don't usually go there very often, but I figured I would. And somebody was still working there from when I worked there, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. And he is currently the GM of the Sonic, the general manager. And I'm like, man, how much are you getting paid now? And he's like, 40,000 a year, which is pretty good. But I was like, how many hours you working? And he's like 75 a week. And I'm like, dear God. I couldn't do that. There's no way. There's no way I could work 75 hours a week. I mean, I can do it for 1 week maybe. And I have done it for 1 week. But I also quit the next week, so. Well, I suppose I could work 75 hours a week a few times and not quit at my current job. But in fast food, 75 hours is an eternity. But I have enormous respect for anybody with that much of a work ethic. Let's take another sip of the latte. Yeah, there seems to be 2 different types of fast food places. Some will have a bunch of employees working like 4 hours a week, and some places just have a few employees working 100 hours a week, it feels like. And there seems to be no in between the 2. But I guess for the first example, where they have 100 employees working 4 hours, that's because they hire only teenagers mostly, that are still in school, and you can't really work them that long. You can work them to death while they are there, though, I assure you, but you cannot work them as long. But yeah, that's a little secret you may not have known. Sometimes there's not even a person over like 20 running the whole store at a time. But we manage it still. Yeah. So, always be nice to fast food workers. Always be nice to workers in general, no matter the job. But especially fast food people, they have the worst jobs ever. But they are important. I got the corner a little crooked there. I'm just trying to clean it up. Shout out to my friend Charlie. He works at McDonald's, I believe, is what it is. He's a very hard worker. I doubt he's watching this stream. It's my friend's boyfriend. But he is a very hard worker from what it seems. Because this leather I'm cutting from is on the end, it's really fibrous, a lot more than I would have liked. So I'm going to scrap this piece of leather because it just gets way too bad in this part. So I'll move over to this one now. I'm trying to decide if I should cut it down even more. I think what I'm going to do to make it smaller is cut out this corner right in here because that's also really fibrous. And I don't want to deal with that. I may use it for another project because it is still leather after all, and leather is not cheap. But not for this one. I got 4 cut out. After I finish my purse, I have another project I've had my eye on. It's a briefcase. It's called a Bloomsbury attaché case, is the name he has for it. It's just a really standard briefcase. Just picture in your mind what a briefcase looks like, and that's it. But it will be a lot of fun to make, I believe, because it's going to have some MDF that I need to cut out for it. And you'll see me do a little bit of woodworking as well, if I figure out how to get my camera set up for a good angle on that. I'll most likely just use a table saw. So one of my nerdier hobbies is coin collecting. And today at work, I saw a very nice coin online that I would really love to buy, but I am currently trying to save my money and not spend money on more coins. I used to have a rather impressive coin collection, at least as impressive as coin collecting can be, in the coin collecting world, they would think it was impressive. I had pretty much every Lincoln cent except for a 1955 double die, which is an extremely rare variety. You'd be lucky to find them for maybe like less than $2,000, and they'd be in very bad shape. I have seen a few of them in person, and I have even contemplated buying some before, because my cent collection, it was probably about a $3,000 set. I recently sold it to pay for an apartment, which didn't work out. Nobody wants to rent to me because I'm so young. But the coin market's not doing as well at the moment anyways, so I did sell at a good time, especially for my silver. I sold that at a very opportune time. It was right before it crashed down. The Lincoln set, basically what a Lincoln set entails is you have the current pennies that are out. Those are the shield pennies. If you look on the back of a new penny, it'll have a shield on it. And those are the newest variety, I suppose you can call it. And you go back a little bit farther, you'll have the memorial back pennies. Those are the, I'd say, classic penny type that you may think of when you think of a penny. And those two sets together, they're not expensive to acquire in very good condition. I'd say you could get it for maybe $100 if you budgeted correctly. Because after all, they are all new pennies. But then you have the wheat penny set, and that can definitely be a lot more expensive. The majority of it actually isn't expensive, but there are a few. They're what's called a key date, and that is just like the most expensive coins in a set. And the key dates on the wheat penny set is 1909 SVDB. That's the most expensive one in the series. I'll talk more about that in a second. And 1914 D, I believe. And another big one is a 22 D no date, I believe is the name of it. And that one is, I wouldn't really call it an error coin, but it's more of like a misprint, I suppose. And those can get pricey very fast. I had all three of those, but on the 22, it wasn't very good specimen. It had a lot of porosity, and basically what that means is it looks like you found it in the ground pretty much. But my 1909 SVDB, that's usually the most expensive one. They can go for a lot of money. Even a very bad example, just something you can barely tell is an SVDB, would still be about $500. I did manage to get a good deal on one, and when I resold it, I did make a profit on it, which I was happy about. But let me try to cut that corner a little bit better. I don't remember the exact prices now. It was a little while ago, but I did have a fairly good specimen of it. But the rest I had in almost mint state, and that's mint state means is obviously what it says, mint state. It's the state that the coins come out at the mint at. They haven't been circulated around in pocket change or anything like that. And I had the majority of my coins in there. I really enjoyed the Lincoln series, collecting all of those. I'm sure glad I only have one viewer right now. That this would be very boring if I had a whole lot of people in chat right now. But there's a lot of variety to what you can collect in the coin world. You could collect just the basic pocket change if you're low on funds. You can just go through pocket change and pull out different types and things. That's more because you like hunting for the coins instead of having the coins. It's basically what they do is they'll go to the bank and then ask for boxes of whatever denomination. And I have done that quite a bit. I didn't do it for any collection, but I did do it to get the pre-1964 silver coins out, because there are still some in circulation. Basically what happened in 1964 is before then the coins, say you have a quarter, and what a quarter would have in it would be 25 cents worth of silver. So a quarter would be always worth a quarter back then. And it'd be 90% silver, the rest would be copper, I believe. And those are alloyed together. And then say you have a $50, you'd have a half of a dollar worth of silver in there. But nowadays, I think a single silver quarter would be maybe about $5 at the time, I believe. I haven't checked silver prices for a little while. So if you find one, you're making like $5 a piece. But I usually search through dimes, and back then it would have 10 cents worth of silver. So nowadays that'd be about $2 worth of silver. And you can buy machines that sort through coins, like all kinds of coins, very fast. And it'll take out the silver coins automatically. You can also do that with copper coins, because copper has value, and you can resell those. But I did it with mostly silver coins, so I'd get a box. I don't remember how much money a box was. Basically what a box is, it's rolls and rolls of a denominational coin, and you'd buy a box, then just sort through that. And maybe in a box I'd find one or two at best. There are stories of people buying boxes of coins, and then when they go through it, pretty much the entire box is silver. Because what'll happen sometimes is, since coin collecting is usually an old person type thing, these grandparents would have a ginormous silver hoard, is what it's usually referred to. And when they die, because they hadn't told their grandchildren about what a silver coin was, they would take all the coins that their grandparents had and just take them to the bank. So you can end up with thousands and thousands of dollars of silver coins just being taken to the bank. And that doesn't even include like I was talking about earlier, SVDBs that could get lost and then show up in coin rolls. So that's what coin roll hunters are hunting for, so to speak. They really want a full box of silver, because that would be thousands of dollars if they got a full box. And at one time I was very big into collecting silver. I stored them in ammo cans. I had, basically it's called junk silver. Any coin that's 90% silver is usually referred to as junk silver. And I'd just have an ammo box full of those. I was very happy with my hoard. My grandchildren would have been very happy to take those to the bank, because even in just face value, it would have been quite a bit. And then you obviously have different subsects of coin collecting. You can have people who like graded coins, which is there's just a grading company, kind of like there's video game grading companies that may be more in line with Twitch's audience. A video game grading company where they just put a value on how good of condition a video game is. It's the same exact thing with coins, but they've been doing a lot longer with coins. And then the main criteria for coin grading is you have the surface wear, the luster, the strike. I'm forgetting the other criteria. And basically that all culminates together to grade a coin. And sometimes even a small grading difference can be the difference between thousands and thousands. And it's all just about knowing your grading scale and choosing a good coin within that scale. Because sometimes a coin can have the same grade and there'll still be a different value between the two just because of how the grading scale works. So it's important to know how it works and not just focus on the number. It's on a scale of 70, so a perfect coin would be 70. MS70 is what it's called, and just the lowest of the low would be a poor 1. And with a poor 1, you can't even tell what kind of coin it is, really. You can only tell from the size and weight it is. It's so worn. You don't often see poor 1 coins. That's actually another subsect of coin collecting. Collecting low-grade coins, low-ball coins is what they're called. And what they do is they find the junkiest coins, pretty much, the most worn coins. And since you can get those for cheaper, you can get a collection going. But what's happened in recent years is because so many coin collectors started doing a lowball set, the actual price of the P1 coins would be more than a coin that's in better condition, because so many people wanted to have a P1, which is the lowest, that the price actually went up for those because they are so rare to find in that poor of condition. And you can't just wear them yourself. It would be very apparent. I mean, I suppose you could leave it in your pocket for 20 years, but that's a little bit long of a process to go through. And so yeah, recently the very poor coins have started to raise in value for some of them. Some of them are still junk coins, pretty much. But even really poor coins can be worth a lot of money. Especially colonial coins. Sometimes those can go for ridiculous numbers. I had one colonial coin. It cost me $600, I believe. Maybe. It was a pretty good colonial coin, though. It was a half cent. And basically what those were is they were worth half a penny, if you can believe it, before copper prices skyrocketed. And a half penny would actually be about the size of a quarter, but they'd be made out of copper, and they were worth half a penny. And even by old standards, when the half penny was used, it was still a very small denomination of currency. I forget what exactly, but I don't think it was worth more than like 10 cents at the time. So it's hard to find good quality examples of half cents that are still surviving because people didn't really want them at the time. It'd be like finding a penny and change today. You're like, oh, half cent, throw that to the side. So today they're worth a lot. You won't find those in change anymore. They're not legal tender anymore. You can't actually use them. Actually, I suppose you could. I'm not sure. You may be able to use them. But I feel like they've been... No, I don't think you can use them. And then you have the people who collect currency. That's its own realm. I did have a few paper currency, a few silver back notes, gold back notes, and all kinds of different stuff. But I wasn't very good in that field. I used to know all about this stuff. I have quite a few books about it. Like, let me think. I have at least 10 books about coins that I would read front to back about the grading process and all kinds of different stuff. But I have forgotten a lot of it because I haven't been able to spend my money on coins. That used to be where all of my money would go, pretty much. And it's not like I was throwing it away, because rare coins, when you get good at it, can actually make you money finding a good quality example and reselling it whenever the time is good. Like now would be a very good buying time if I was still flipping coins, because the prices are low and they will go back up in the future. But I'm not too sure about the future of coin collecting. It will still be a thing, but with so many people doing credit cards, I'm not sure if the prices are going to be increasing much longer. Okay, now that I've bored you all to death for about 40 minutes about coins, I'll give that a break. I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I forgot to count, so at least I didn't cut out too many. That is perfect. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have enough leather. But I can use that other hide. That's okay. It'll work out. Let me just blow off my desk here real fast. Okay. Time to get started on the other one. Basically what these are pockets, and then you just have two different kinds of pockets. Let me look at my thing over here and see how I attach that pocket. I did stitch it. Okay. Okay, I stitched that pocket. So I'll have to do that. Let's turn the heater on. The sun's going down. It probably will get colder soon. Speaking of my old jobs, I also used to work at TSC, that's Tractor Supply Company. It was basically a Home Depot with less items and more oriented to farmers instead of builders. But there, I did a lot of retail work. I was a cashier, mostly. And most people were nice, but obviously you would have very impolite customers, and I didn't have any patience for that shit. I'd tell them to leave, and I did get permission to not be nice to those people because we had enough sales that I didn't have to. A lady came in one time and she was very upset that our online, because you can have stuff delivered to the store and sometimes they'll deliver the wrong thing. And we were patient for a little while with her. We were like, man, because the wrong thing had come in for her. She wasn't happy about it. And we told her, we were like, hey, we're really sorry about bringing in the wrong thing. Because you do need to be polite to customers. You can't just tell everyone to fuck off. But we were like, hey, the wrong order came in, because she came back in and was like, hey, this isn't my order. A little bit more rude than that, but that's basically the gist of it. She was like, hey, this isn't my order. And we're like, okay, we're real sorry about that. You'll have to reorder it. We'll refund that order and you'll have to reorder it. And she's like, well, I don't get why I would need to do that. Why can't you just get it for me? And I'm like, that's how it is. I'm sorry. She's like, well, I'm never shopping here again, and you're not going to get a single dime from me. And I'm like, we don't want your damn dimes. I didn't say damn, but I did say we don't want your dimes. And then she kind of stormed off after that. We do have, there's video cameras on the outside of the store, and she stormed off. And we had this on video, but she stormed off. But on her way out, she hit the curb so hard. She ran into it, like how parking lots will have curbs sometimes to like go around light poles and things. She hit the curb so damn hard, and we died at that because we had it on video, and then it was kind of passed around between us because she went up the curb. It kind of like jumped the car and slammed back down on the ground. It was, I got a very big justice boner from that. That was one of the best days there. I got to tell a mean lady to fuck off, and she scratched her car. We didn't even have to scratch it for her. But like I said, most people are very nice, and it was an overall very good place to work at. I would be a cashier. I'd fill up propane, which I didn't really like, but it was still okay. Because usually when you have to fill up propane, it's very cold outside, and but I'd dress warmly, and it'd be alright. It is a lot slower. You're not as stressed whenever you're just filling propane. The stress only comes when you have to fill propane, you have to load up other things, and you have to help customers, and then, well, when you're just filling propane, it's pretty nice. You can talk to the customers because they're just right next to you as you fill it up, and that's always fun. You can just chat. But if you have a very large propane tank, a 100-pound propane tank, you cannot put it in a enclosed vehicle. You have to have a truck or something to lay it outside. You can't leave it inside the car. We definitely couldn't let anybody do that. And there would be a few people getting mad about that. But that's the rules. We can't really change it. Okay, my coffee is getting cold now. That's disappointing. I don't have much left. Sure is making me a lot more talkative, though. Speaking of talk, let's talk about fucking corporate talk, okay? You know, like the emails you get? They're like, oh, this is our soonest convenience. It is the dumbest shit ever. I hate corporate speak. And I need a fucking dictionary for it half the time. I'm cussing a lot more this stream. I probably shouldn't. Apparently coffee makes me cuss. I'll calm it down on that. There may be children watching. Do you have to be over... No, you don't have to be over 18 to come on here. I guess it's like any social media site where you have to be over 13 to get an account, but their measures to make sure you're over 13 are not the best, so you always have very young people on any social media account, even though they shouldn't be allowed to. I wonder what the average demographic of Twitch is, though. Like the actual demographic, not just the numbers that they have, because obviously that some people are going to lie about it, like the 12-year-olds wanting to get on. So I wonder if it skews towards children, or if it's about my age, 20-ish, 18, over 18, under 25, is what they usually group us into. I'd imagine it'd be about that age. That seems like that'd be the target demographic at least, but I'm sure there's a bunch of kids on here we're not sure about. I would just like to know the real numbers of it. And of course, I'm just talking out of my ass. It may be full of 80-year-olds, and that's the target demographic. I have no clue. But my guess is what I should have said is that it's probably in my age range. That sure would be fun, though. A gaming platform full of 80-year-olds. That would be cool. They need to start that up. I want to talk to some old lady playing Fortnite or something. I guess that's not the biggest... Oh, I'm sure it's still huge. What is the new big game? Roblox? I know that's a kid's thing, but it's ridiculously popular. I know nothing about gaming, so take any of this I say with a grain of salt. But I imagine any game that I have heard of has to be a big seller, because it's not like I'm searching games up. So if I hear about it, that must mean a lot of people are talking about it. One podcast I listen to, they do game a lot, but that's not what the podcast is about. They just kind of talk and be funny, but they do talk about gaming in there every now and then. And I do enjoy it because games are fun and they are very funny people, but I don't have any first-hand experience unless it's on like an NES or an Atari. I love Atari. They have very simple games that are very easy to get hooked on. What's some good Atari games? You have Space Invaders, which is the main one. That one's really fun. I'm pretty good at it too. You can only get a certain score on Ataris before the high score counter rolls over, because Ataris can't handle such big numbers like 1,000,000, so they'll just roll over. And then I could get that to roll over a few times, so I was pretty good at it. Adventure. Adventure's a really good one. That's where, basically, that's like the default game when you think of Atari for most people. Adventure is, you have to find keys and get them to a certain castle. I haven't played it in a while, so I don't remember the exact objective. And for being on an Atari, it's a pretty complex game. There's a lot of rooms, there's a lot of puzzles you have to solve. But I was pretty good at that game. If I stayed on easy mode, hard mode was, like it says, pretty hard. There's dragons in there you have to dodge and everything. And a bat who keeps stealing your key. And that's very annoying. What's some other good games? Dodge'em. Dodge'em's a really good Atari game. In Dodge'em is basically, the name says it all, you dodge a car. You have a circular track that you go around, and there's different lanes on that track, and you have to dodge out of the way of the other car coming in the opposite direction. It's really fun. You have to like think ahead and see which lane the car is in. But the only thing I don't like about that is after a while the game repeats itself, and it's just not fun after you really get the hang of it. It's just repetitive, but before I learned everything to do on it, that was definitely a really fun game to play. What's another one? You got, what have I even said so far? I said Space Invaders, Adventure, Dodge'em, and then you have, what's some other games I played? Dig Dug is another game on there. That's pretty fun, but Dig Dug is a arcade machine ripoff, and the arcade machine version is a lot better than the Atari version is, but the Atari version's still fun. I enjoyed it. I was really good at the arcade version of Adventure. Not arcade version of Dig Dug, I mean. Trying to think of more games on. I have a whole lot of games for it. Oh, there's another one where you pilot a plane and you have to move back and forth on the plane as you're going over water, and you have to shoot down enemies. It's actually a pretty graphically intense game as far as Atari goes. I was very impressed with the graphics on it. They're laughably bad by today's standards, obviously, but you can definitely tell what everything is without looking it up. With something like Adventure, your player character is literally a square. It's just a square. And the dragons I was talking about, they look more like ducks. But that's the beauty of Atari. They have to rely solely on the gameplay mechanics to make it fun instead of the graphics. And I'm not sure if you're aware of what an Atari controller looks like, but it's the one with just the joystick and one single button, so you're pretty limited with that too. So there's a whole lot of limitations. And people are still making Atari games to this day. Not official Atari games, obviously, but since the console's so old, it's really easy to make games for. So a lot of video game designers like to design their own Atari game. And there's some really good ones. There's a Halo remake with the Atari. It's with Atari remakes, back when they were first making Atari games, they'd have a certain amount of data limit before, like data storage, and I think it was in the kilobytes, which if you know anything about games that's in computers, that is not a lot to work with. But today, games can have however much you want, really. So you're still limited in your graphics and your controller, but nowadays you can have a big sprawling map that's stored in the game instead of just a couple maps or randomly generated ones. There are some people who like to stick to the limitation of the size, though, as well. Purists, so to speak. Combat. That is a good game. It's a 2-player game, and it is one of the best 2-player games I've ever played. You control 2 tanks. Each person controls a tank. Oh, I thought of another one. I'll say in a second. Each person controls a tank, and you move the tank around a map, and you shoot each other with the tanks, and whoever has the most at the end of the time limit wins. It's with most Atari games, it's a very simple premise, but the execution's just amazing. And like I said earlier, I thought of another one, and that's Breakout. That's another really fun one. Instead of having the joystick, like I was talking about earlier, the top joystick, you have what's called a paddle, and that moves the bar at the bottom. I'm sure you've heard of Breakout. That's a pretty common one to hear about. Okay, I think I've made Swiss cheese out of this one. Let's switch over. But Breakout's a very fun game that I was quite good at. I mean, I suppose I still am good at. I haven't played it in a little while, but I'd imagine I'm still okay. And then, of course, you have the classic game for Atari. I said Adventure is what you think of when you think of Atari, but Pong is probably what people think of when they think of Atari. And that's just, you've heard of Pong, I guarantee it. There's no way you haven't heard of Pong. It's just 2 paddles on each side and it goes up and down. That's a fun game as well. Super, super simple. As simple as you can get. I'm at 10. I have 2 more to go. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to get it all on this piece of leather. because I still need to cut out the backs, and that's going to be pretty big. Well, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No way I can make that. Oh, well, I can fit it over here. I'm definitely going to have to use the other leather. I don't think I can make it. But I have 2 more of these to cut out. If my friend is the person watching, would you like to have this kind of leather? This kind of leather. It's a little bit lighter and there's more, I'll call it character. I guess you can call it wrinkles, but it does look fairly nice. I'm not sure which leather you'd prefer. I'm not quite sure who's watching at the moment, but if you are there, pick which leather you prefer, left or right. You'll have the option of both, obviously, but I'd like to know beforehand. Okay, she didn't reply, so I assume somebody else is watching my stream. Welcome to my stream. This is my stream. Sorry I'm boring you with my talk of coins and antique video games, but that is what I enjoy, and I will be talking about what I enjoy on this channel, and not just what I think other people will enjoy. But talking about vintage video games is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to being a traditional Twitch streamer. I don't play many modern games. What's the newest game I've even played? I think it's Wii Sports Resort. Yeah, I think so. I don't have any new games, so Wii Sports Resort it is, I guess. But that's a really fun game. I'd play that all the time as a kid. I really liked flying around in the plane, looking at Wahoo Island is what it's called, I believe. I was a pro at flying that plane though with my joystick. Well, not joystick, my Wii controller. Oh, and Super Mario Bros. Wii. That was the shit. I need to get another Wii. That would be fun. That'd be a fun nostalgia-driven gaming session. I think that's the only 2 games I had for the Wii, actually. Wii Sports Resort and Super Mario Bros. I do like me some Mario, though. I've played the NES versions, and those are always fun. They're a classic video game franchise. I haven't met too many people who don't like Mario. I haven't played any of the newer Sonic games, but I've played the first one, and that's fun as well. I'm not good at it. I can only get to the little lava level thingy, and then I'm kind of stuck after that. But you don't have to be good at games to enjoy playing them. I'm not some gatekeeper of retro games. Anybody can enjoy games. just like anybody can enjoy leatherworking, bringing it back to what my channel is actually about. But you don't have to be good at something to enjoy doing it. I'd like to think I'm good at leatherworking, and I do enjoy doing it, so I'm glad I have both of those. But I'm definitely not a master, so it's... So the philosophy still applies. You don't have to be a master to enjoy something. This and woodworking is what brings me the most happiness, and I shall do it to make me happy. Okay, let's start cutting out the bigger pieces. Oh, aw man. I dropped my thread behind my desk. I don't need it now, but that's probably going to be a pain in the butt to get in a minute when I start stitching. Okay. I have to be very careful with my layout of this, using absolutely everything I can. Okay. Because I am trying to get just as much out of this as I can. Can I fit that down there? Oh, man, it's so close. Maybe if I move it up here, and then... Ugh, that's so tight. Okay. I think I figured out a good spot to cut out. Can I still fit a... Yes, I can. I think that's what I'm going to do. But I need to be very careful not to overcut. I'll leave this down here so I know what not to cut on. I need to be very careful right here. And that should be it as far as screwing up this piece. It's getting dark outside now. It's officially nighttime. I wonder what time it is. I'm currently focused on this, so I'll check in a minute, but I am going to guess 6:40. Oh no, I forgot to turn off my alarm again. I will need to check the time to make sure I don't blow out your ears again. Oh, it's 6:51. I was pretty close. Let's see if I can go ahead and turn off my... Nope. Okay. So we're just gonna have to check in over and over again. Because I can't leave this app or else my stream will stop, so it's not like I can go to my alarm app and... What was that noise? There is a rat in here, I believe. There's a hole over there in the wall, so I was seeing if it was that. I don't mind rats, though. They are not bothering me, and I will not bother them. I do try to keep my leather off the floor as much as possible. I do have some over there, but just so it's not chewed on. And I also have a thick piece right there, but that should be okay for now. This is not my home. The rats were probably here first. I'm the intruder, not them, so I'm not going to set up traps or anything. But I will leave my dog in here. Not leave her in here, I'll let her stay in here whenever I'm working, and then she'll go out, because it's sometimes cold outside, and she'll like it in here. But I'm also not going to stop her from eating a rat if she happens to find one. Because that's what she enjoys. So I'm all about letting people do what they enjoy. And if she enjoys eating rats, she will eat rats. Okay, I didn't ruin that piece, so we're good. I still gotta be careful though. Okay. After I finish cutting this out, I'll check my time again to see if I can turn off the alarm. Because I was told it was very loud last time it went off. And that's just the alarm to remind me to take my medication so I don't forget. I get very bad headaches if I skip a day. But the actual time I take it's not very crucial as long as I remember to take it by today. So the alarm's just there to remind me of its existence, not a certain time. Okay. Okay, it's 6:55, and it is letting me, oh no, I have too many notifications. Oh, turn off for today, and am I still streaming? Yes, sweet. Okay, I did manage to do it. Now let's cut out this piece, hopefully. Ooh, just barely. Let me use the bathroom real fast. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I heard wolves outside, or coyotes, more likely. I'm not even sure if there are wolves here. Maybe. I have heard a bobcat while hiking one time. I was out too late. I started hiking after I probably should have. And by the time I was finished, it was nighttime. Which, I mean, I'll hike at night sometimes anyways, but I wasn't very prepared for it. I didn't have like a knife or anything. I usually carry that to protect myself at night. Because I'm a little scaredy cat. I don't have a flashlight. But back to the story, I didn't have any of those things, and I heard a bobcat. First, I saw some deer running past, so I believe the bobcat was going after the deer and not me. But like I said, it was night, and my little monkey brain thought he was coming after me, so I was a little scared. I was a little scaredy. And I don't know if you've ever heard a bobcat. They are very scary sounding. It sounds a little like a man roughly yelling "run," which is not good for the psyche to hear in the middle of the night. It's just like a rough growl that sounds a little bit like "run." And that was not my best hiking experience. I did not run despite the bobcat's suggestion. I grabbed a good stick and I was silently pooping my pants as I walked back to my car. But when I got near my car, I did run. I wasn't about to get eaten by a bobcat a few feet from my car, so I kind of jogged a little bit quicker when I got to my car. And I am not embarrassed to say that. I believe anybody would have done the same. Believe it or not, I am not immune to fear. Just like everybody else. I know I may seem like a god among men with my chiseled jawline and my godlike leatherworking skills, but I'm a mere mortal, just like you. On my hike that day, I was also collecting acorns, and later, because you can eat acorns, and they're quite good actually, but in order to eat them, you have to go through a whole process in order to get them ready, but after that, it's all good. To get acorns ready, basically what you do is you collect them, obviously, and there are a bunch. If you find a maple tree, I suppose. Maple? Oak. Oak is where you get the acorn from. Maple's where you get maple syrup. But you find an oak tree that's mature and is producing acorns that year, you can very easily get a basket full. I'll have to bring my basket down here. It's a nice wicker basket, but hand woven in it was hand woven in Africa. It was one of those African baskets. I really enjoy it. I believe the African workers were well treated. At least that's what they led me to believe. I'm not sure if that's true. Anyways, back to the acorn story. And not me supporting child labor. I'm just kidding, I don't believe so. Okay, back to the story. Basically, you collect your acorns and you dry out the acorns as they are. And after they're dry, you can crack them open fairly easily. So you'll crack open all your acorns. And the problem with eating acorns like that is there's a lot of tannins in them, which makes it very bitter and very poisonous. So what you can do is there's two methods. You can boil them a few times until the water runs clear from boiling them, after boiling them. Or you can let them soak in cool water for a long time. But either way, you end up with the same product, a acorn that has leached all its tannins. And after you get that, You let them dry again, and then you got acorns you can use. You can chop them up roughly and make sort of like a trail mix, or just use them as regular nuts, or you can grind them up into a powder, and you have acorn powder. You can mix that into like a cookie or any wheat-based product. You can mix that in, and it gives it a nice flavor. You can also use some wildflowers and mix those in as well for just a forest medley, I suppose you can call it. And or you can just eat them by themselves. They're also pretty good like that. But the acorn flour, it is high in fats and stuff, just like all nuts are. So you can't store it for too long, but if properly dried, you may be able to get away with storing them until next year's acorn harvest if you keep them in an airtight container. They may go slightly rancid though. Just be careful with it and keep it airtight and out of sunlight. But yeah, it's a pretty easy process. Well, pretty simple process. It's tedious and time consuming to crack all the acorns, but you do end up with a very nutritious and free product. And like I said, you can get a ton of acorns from just one tree, but if you go into the forest, there's obviously a whole lot of trees, depending on where you live. Maybe you live in Antarctica, and there will be no oak trees there. So I guess you miss out. Though you are living in Antarctica, you're missing out on a lot of things. Fast internet is the main thing you're missing out on, so that is what leads me to believe you're not in Antarctica. Well, actually, there's a few times in the day that you can get internet access in Antarctica, because researchers do need internet in order to do their research, but only certain times of the day will a satellite fly over and you have faster internet speed. I believe what they do is they have a radio internet connection for just very slow speed internet. Something on the level of dial-up. That's something very interesting, though. You can get email through radio waves, and you can set that up. It's very interesting because the code that sends it is pretty much bomb-proof, and you can send it in any situation, pretty much. So it's a very good emergency communication system. Say you're in like a tornado or something of that nature. Trying to think of a good place to put my next one. But there's a lot of good things in the forest you can forage for. I enjoy hunting for mushrooms as well as acorns. Soon, some morel mushrooms should be coming up, and those are amazing. They are my favorite kind of mushroom, and I love mushrooms, so that's saying a whole lot. The morel, it's you have a few different kinds. You have the French morel, which is the best, but they're all very delicious. And those look kind of like brains. They're not in the shape of a brain, but they're kind of wrinkly like a brain would be. And they're very meaty. mushrooms, but they only come out one time a year, at one time in the year, and you really only have like a 2 to 3 week window to harvest them, and you don't want to over harvest or else you won't have any morels next year. You want to maintain your spot, but you, in a good spot, you can get 4 to 5 pounds of mushrooms, and that's quite a bit of mushrooms. They don't weigh a lot, so that's quite a few of them. A really good day, you may be able to fill up like a feed sack or something of that nature, but probably not that much. That'd be a really good day. And you can batter them, kind of like a chicken leg or something of that nature, and you can fry them like that, and they're very good. But what I really enjoy is making an omelet with them. You chop them up, you add some chives, and maybe some onions, and you fry the morels, and then it is the best food you will ever have. It is amazing how delicious morel mushrooms are. If you haven't had them, I highly suggest you do. They mostly grow on the East Coast, so if you're not there, you're out of luck. But you can buy them online. They're usually dried because they don't store too well. I haven't ever tried dry morels, but I'd imagine that they're still very good. But when you buy them, they are a very expensive mushroom though, because you can't farm morels, or at least you can't effectively. I've heard of a few people that were able to get a colony growing, but it's really hard. They are the hardest mushroom to farm. So I don't think there's any commercial morel farm. You can do what's called inoculate a wild spot, and that gives a little bit better results, but even then it's hit or miss. I have a few spots that I believe are good candidates to grow morels, because they do have like a sort of growing habitat. And I have a few spots that I've laid out the spores. And to get the spores, basically you just take dechlorinated water and soak the mushrooms in it, which you have to do anyways. You have to soak the mushrooms. You don't do that with most mushrooms, but the morel you can. I'm having a hard time picking up my ruler. I just want a really good straight edge to cut this off. But you soak the morel in the water, and then the water will have spores in them, which are basically like mushroom seeds, I suppose you could call it. And then you just spread that over an area. They do best in forest fired areas, like someplace that's recently had a forest fire. So what's a good practice to do is burn some logs, some clean logs. You can't have any trash in the fire. You burn some logs down, then you take the ashes from that and spread it over an area, and that'll help them grow. I assume there's some nutrients in there that they enjoy. And I think I have around 3 spots that I'll have to check. I have successfully inoculated 1 spot before, but that is all the luck I have had with growing them, which just shows you how hard it is to decide where morels grow. In the place I inoculated, I'm not quite comfortable harvesting from yet, because I wouldn't, 1, get a good harvest, and 2, I want it to become more mature, so I'm leaving all of them. The like hot spot of where they're growing, I have fenced off because deer and turkeys also love eating them. I have a trail camera also pointed towards that area, which just goes to show you the lengths I will go in order to get more morels. How many do I have? 3 and 3. Yep, no way I can make all of those. No way. It's impossible. Can't do it. No way. No way, Jose. But there are good supermarket mushrooms as well, so it's not like I'm waiting on my next fix of mushroom. I can go to the store and buy them whenever I want. You have the regular button mushroom, which is the most common mushroom you'll find in supermarkets. You have the shiitake, which I'd say may be the most popular aside from the button. And then you have the more specialty mushrooms that most supermarkets don't carry. But I have an Asian food market near me, and they are very good at supplying me with all kinds of unusual mushrooms for me to try. Lion's mane, maitake, lobster mushrooms, and all kinds of different stuff. Wine cap mushrooms, those are good. And they are also very easy to farm. Wine cap mushrooms are. Basically, the only thing required for wine cap mushrooms is wood chips. That's it. Just take wood chips and make sure it's a little shaded, but also not completely in the shade. And throw down your spore, and next year, wine cap mushrooms will come up. And they are also very delicious. And they're also called King Strophoria. I believe that's the Latin name. I may be wrong. I may be wrong about everything I have ever said on this stream, but I believe is a better word. I believe they are called King Strophoria. So if you have a garden bed with some wood mulch, take some King Strophoria spawn and throw that all over the place, because you will almost certainly get mushrooms growing up. They'll sometimes grow in yards as well, but not as well. Usually that's just what happens when you put them in wood mulch and you have a yard next to it. Just happen to spread over there. Another good mushroom to forage for is chicken of the woods. It grows, well, you can harvest it around October, September, October, around that time. In the fall, really, is when you can harvest them. They are pretty distinct, so there's not a lot of chance you will be poisoned, which is definitely a issue of concern with some mushroom types, wild mushroom types. And once breaded and fried, taste a whole lot like chicken, like a chicken tender. In my opinion, they are better than chicken tenders. So it's always a treat when I find those. And when I do find them, they are usually in very large clumps. So you get a lot of it. I tend to not try to harvest the whole thing just so they can grow back later. But even if you take half of it, that's still like 4 pounds of mushroom you can get out of one clump of chicken of the woods. You also have hen of the wood. I haven't ever found that, but I have heard of it before. For liking mushrooms as much as I do, I'm not quite as knowledgeable about them as I'd like. I have multiple apps on my phone that will help me if I do find a unknown mushroom. Oyster mushrooms are also good to find. I suppose oyster mushrooms would be more common than shiitake, which is what I was saying would probably be the next most popular mushroom, but I'd say oyster would be more popular. Okay. I was just making sure I'm doing it correctly. I didn't do a good job with that wallet. I messed it up, but it is a good thing to go off of. Just popping my neck. Ooh, that was worrying. I popped my neck and I felt my arm twitch right in here. I must have been very close to paralyzing myself. Wouldn't that be fun to have on stream? I would have freaked out. Oh no, I can't quite make another one out of that. Oh well. Oh, I need to go down a little bit farther. There was a cut in here I didn't notice. Let's try that again. Let me just check. Yeah, the rest should be fine. Like I said at the beginning of my stream, I finally got those wallets delivered that I was making, and I got paid from them, which was very nice. I enjoy getting paid. So the fruits of my labor did not go to waste. And now I get to sell these myself. Have you ever heard of the song 16 Tons? It's a very old song, but I like it a lot. You've probably heard of it even if you haven't heard of the name. But that's been stuck in my head. We sung it as a joke at work today. We had a very stressful evening, and basically what the song's about is a coal miner worker loading 16 tons of coal and then going deeper into debt as a result of it. It's like You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. And then it's like do 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 do. Yeah. And that was pretty funny at work today. Basically what that song originates to is coal miners. They used to have, they wouldn't really get paid in money per se. They would have these tokens that could only be redeemed at the car outside. They had tokens that could only be redeemed in the coal miners store, which is just like a local store owned by the company. So they wouldn't be able to pay off any debts they had. They'd only be able to survive with what they could get from the company store. So they wouldn't be able to get anywhere in life. They could essentially only work for the coal mine, and that was a very hard job. As the song entails, 16 tons of coal. If I am correct, that's not the amount that they would normally load, but that's the amount they would have new workers load on their first day. Maybe it's like a hazing type ritual thing. 16 tons of number 9 coal. And so yeah, it was a very bad situation for them, but it did result in a very good song that you can sing sarcastically at work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, I am getting close. I may only have to do one wallet with the other type. Let's see, let's put that there. Let's put that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's just cut off these little bits. And those leather scraps, they can be sold on their own, but I will most likely use them for another project. You can bundle them together and sell them. I really feel like I may be able to squeeze out 6, 4, 5, 6. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, I can get, just barely, but I can get 6 wallets out of that. That's impressive. I must have laid it out pretty good. I don't have a whole lot of scraps in here, which I'm happy about. But I thought I'd have to switch over to the other kind of leather. So it's going to be nice to have matching leather on all of them. I was contemplating maybe recutting these out so they could match with the other type. But I will not have to do that. Let me just recount, because I can't believe I could cut all those out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I can cut it out. Well, that is awesome. Let's check my time. It is 7:27. Yeah, it's about what I thought it was. So that's pretty good. I started at what, 5:30? No, it'd be more around 6, wouldn't it? So 6, hour and a half. That's not a bad time. But if I had a clicker press, this would be probably 10 minutes, maybe. So that is why I really want a clicker press. And I've explained what a clicker press is enough times, but that's basically just a hydraulic press that cuts it out for you. And you are limited to what you can make with a clicker press, but if you're going to be making quantity like I am, it is definitely the way to go. I am ecstatic that I can cut 6 wallets out of that. I didn't want to break out my other leather. I was saving that for a different project. So I'm going to cut the rest of these out, then I can start gluing. Actually, first I'll need a skive. You'll get to see me skive for the first time on stream. I haven't done that yet, and I'm not very good at it, so I'll explain what I'm doing, but don't take it as the correct way to skive. I'll explain in more detail of what I mean later. And I'll use one tool. That's a little bit of a cheating way to do it, but I will use the other tool as well to help me.